Well, good morning to you.
Good morning. I want you to take me to JoyNews.
It's not a problem at all.
Is Felicia watching the show?
No.
Okay, cool. So take me to JoyNews.
Yeah.
It's only 800 Ghana cedis and it's on Thursday.
Yeah,
you know, at Kempinski.
Easily sorted.
JoyNews will sing for us and sing
Easily
to
sorted.
us.
By in the evening, you say?
Yeah.
You have time in the evening?
Of course I do.
Do you know?
For JoyNews, I do.
Yeah, I know.
It's the month of love.
You can always forgo something for something useful.
Your superstation Joy FM is running this Valentine program. It's a love ride. And there's so many things within the love ride. But a time with JoyNews on Thursday evening is the icing on the cake.
I tell you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you don't have any ideas like what to do on Val's Day, we've given you one fantastic idea. Where to be on Thursday evening, and don't buy any gifts, you know, like just take her.
Everything will be provided.
Take her, take him, and that's it.
Out of your 800, you get so many things in return. A lot of pleasure as well. But we have to do the newspapers. How was your night?
Very little sleep, but I am alive. So
yeah.
Kojo is not with us this morning.
I had to take care of some family business. So
yeah,
we'll deal with that. But we had some great interaction he had with former boss of CDD Ghana, Professor Jima Bwedi, and we're going to have some great time within the period.
Before we dig into the newspapers, though, let's check out how traffic looks like in some of the places in the capital, just to give you an idea before you set off. Yeah.
Okay, so we go to the Ring Road Central, and right now it's not as
right now
clogged.
it's way
it's not as clogged as you would want it, and so this is the best time that you have to take this route. If you know that you're now starting off, I guess this is the best time you just have to take this route. Please make sure that you get your way through here. If you have to go through the Ring Road Central, right through to Kaneshi and some of those areas, this is the right place to go. I'm sure in the next 30 minutes, and we'll bring you more updates on that. We'll get to know what really may have transpired on the road, Ring Road Central. And then also, we'll take you to some of the other intersections where we have the cameras there. Let's go to Tema. That's the Tema end of the Tema-Accra motorway. And you get to see that the traffic has always been building up. And you can see the traffic right from Michelle Camp, Afienya, the Ashaiman roundabout, and right through to the Tema roundabout. The roundabout is under construction because of the Tema expansion project, port project, and subsequently we've had the extension of roads right from the Tema Harbour, the East End, the West End, etc., and some of the adjoining areas. And so if you're coming from Bong, you're coming from Pram, Dowenya, some of those areas, you just have to set off early, because now it looks like the traffic is already being experienced. So you just have to take the right route. Make sure you leave home as quickly as possible if you live in some of those adjoining areas. But let's go to the airport city area, and the cameras or the monitoring feed is right on Airport Shell, and the road is free now, so please make sure you're coming from the Spinters Road, Tetekwashi, areas just adjoining the area like the Airport Hills. This is the right place for you to use. Okay, let's see whether we can get some of the update from the Gifford Road, linking Bemakam, Cantonment, Elwak 37. Depends on Labadi, yeah. So a bit free now. You're coming from the Spinters Road and some of those areas, Airport Hills. You want to go through to Cantonment, Laboni, the Trade Fair area. The right place for you to use currently is this place. Usually the traffic builds from the Gifford Road area, getting to the intersection that leads to 37 Elwak, and then also the Airport Road.
So essentially it's traffic free right now.
Yeah, a bit free.
But it's only 6:35
Only you get to find that towards the end there.
Yeah.
The northern part of this picture.
Okay, so you know what is ahead of you. You can set off right now.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to Tetekwashi. And Tetekwashi is the main interlink for those who have lived in some of the areas where Mama V used to live.
Oh, this is a perfect Tetekwashi right now at 6:35. So if you're just about leaving home, you're in yeah. If you're coming from Adenta, you know there usually traffic in other points before you get to this part.
Yeah.
So there could be traffic at the time you probably get to this point, but right now you can do your calculations before you step out. This morning we've shown you a few of the routes. If you're coming from outside Accra, we've given you a fair idea how the city center looks like. So, you know. Yeah,
definitely. All right. And all this we're bringing to you, and we bring to you each morning, courtesy traffic.com.gh. And you can always go look for all your latest traffic update throughout the rest of the day right there on that platform. Make sure that you make a date.
Let's go into the newspapers now. I'm beginning with the Daily Graphic newspaper, and on the front page of the Graphic, medical drones take up second quarter. Matilda Pomagan was in Rwanda for us to get you know, more insight into Zipline's work. So there was a media tour, if you like.
Wow.
Freight forwarders,
a great experience.
Back suits, yes, against Ghana Link. Unipass, it's not like I went to Rwanda, no I didn't. Give us more time to effect repart. EC begs court. I wonder what Samson Ladi Ayenini will say to this. Teshi desalination plan to resume operations in March. Center spread. Never again should Africans permit slave trade, according to President Akufo-Addo. Our Greek ministry targets new cash crops, and on the back page of the Graphic, rehabilitation works on Tema motorway progressing steadily, and Kumasi Ketia roads reopened to traffic. By way of headlines, front, back, and center spread, that's it for the Daily Graphic newspaper.
Let's go to the Ghanaian Times. Has on the front page, we must restore pride, dignity of Africa. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, at the commemoration of the 400th anniversary of the transatlantic slave trade. We commemorated it. Great. Single window copyright case, stakeholders back court action. And then we have Ghana to produce seedlings for international markets. The Greek minister. And I'm one to appear again in court on Valentine's Day, not in Ghana. We're told in the Emirates, in Dubai, as it is, one of the Emirates. So we have at on the back page of the paper, we have a pilot training academy to be ready mid-year. According to the aviation minister, you have a picture there of Mr. Kofi Adda welcoming Ms. Audrey A.C. Swatson to his office. She's a young female pilot, we're told. Okay. He said the pilot training school, which costs between 60,000 Ghana cedis and 100,000, $60,000. Sorry.
You were saying 60,000 Ghana cedis.
Review interest on SNIT pension deductions, public sector workers demand, and they've also given an ultimatum in the process. Okay, so let's do the Daily Guide. The Daily Guide newspaper has on the front page, men's gold clients list out, Valentine's Day court for Namwan. The stories are on page 3 and 6. Other stories we have, first IVF twins delivered in Takrady. And you have a picture caption, IVF babies, blows over regional capitals, and EC wants more time for Rupa. They asked they prayed to the court for an extension of a year. We also have CID aided my escaped Nigerian kidnapper, Samuel Odotek Wills. And now we have on the back page, full of sports stories. Don't crucify satellites, and coach Kobla bemoans poor preparation. Team expected home today. So in relation to the black satellites and the exit from the competition. Mourinho lands Russia mega deal, and we're told that there's a speculation that he has landed a new job after signing a mega money deal to return to work for controversial Russian broadcaster RT. Oh, that's the mega deal. Anyway, He says he wants to return back to coaching. It's also instructive to know that since he left Manchester United, they've been doing so well. I don't know why the players did that to him.
Was it the players or was his own tactics?
Yeah, his strategy.
It was his own
they
play.
just didn't like his strategy. Seven Great Princes explains sports event delay. Yvette Brown is spokesperson.
Let's do the Finder newspaper now. Zipline makes strides as Rwanda expands contract to include emergency medicines. Pledges to replicate success story in Ghana soon. And fierce legal battle over ROPA implementation erupts. So a while ago when I was reviewing the Daily Graph, I was saying, oh, I wonder what something has to say. But he's representing the Progressive Alliance movements, and he's had a lot to say apparently. Well, I'll bring you some details in the Finder newspaper. Still on the front page, KMA opens KJT access roads to pre-test human traffic. Port stakeholders back suit against Ghana Link. Unipass. Never again should Africans permit slave trade. President, and this is in quite a number of the newspapers this morning. That's it for the Finder newspaper. Roland will do which paper?
I'll do the Daily Dispatch newspaper and the Custodian thereafter. So I have the Daily Dispatch newspaper, has on the front page, our security is strong, you are safe. Kandapa assures all. Namwan makes third appearance in Dubai court on Thursday. Here, Thursday is Valentine's Day. Yoko must ask Safo about the $1 million Xylophone Act fund. Was it disbursed? Okay, so Pedro Preko asking that question. Pedro Preko, wherever you are, good morning to you. It's been a while. So we have all the stories there. We called for the creation of regions. The regions have been created. Now we're fighting over where the capitals should be cited. So on the back page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper, it says President Akufo-Addo to give constitutional instruments to new regions today. Yeah, very interesting. According to the Minister for Regional Integration, the advocates of where they want the regions to be cited.
The capitals?
Yes, the capitals to be cited. They even did pamphlets as part of the campaign to shore up the argument that, well, the places we're naming or the towns or the cities we're naming really deserve to be regional capitals. You know, more like a whole campaign.
Well,
we've taken it to the next level. So we have the Custodian. It's the next paper, the last paper I'm looking at least. It has on the front page, all parties should support Commission of Inquiry. Obiamwa tells NDC. Ms. Obiamwa, Deputy Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. His picture captioned there on the front page of the Custodian. No diplomas for JHS, SHS graduates, Ministry of Education. I don't know how the statement was communicated in such a way that almost like everybody in the media seemed to have reported that. So it's a misreporting according to...
Oh, which one? The Napos
yes,
comments?
what we reported yesterday. MPP must not lose traditional seats. John Bwedu. And Namwan faces Dubai court on Thursday. Government to complete final IMF exit deal. And on the back page of the Custodian, we have Sarri adamant on Chelsea's style and Sanchez targets Champions League glory with Manchester United. I know that following their 3-0 win over Fulham, when they visited Fulham on Saturday, they've gone to fourth, especially Chelsea also losing to Manchester City in the process. So those are the stories we have. You want to have a check?
Let's finish off with the Daily Statesman newspaper. I was just caught up reading something that I've become very familiar with, the luxury vehicle levy, because I had to do my roadworthy renewal on Saturday, and I was looking at the lists and the engine capacity and how much you have to pay, and the fact that I only paid 78 Ghana cedis, and if you were driving a vehicle with a higher engine capacity, you are either paying 1,000 or 1,005, you know, ongoing. The difference is really huge. But there's a story related to this in the Statesman. It says backlash against luxury vehicle levy. Ghana pledges to back young pilots. NDC Congress hangs by thread. Confab to pick flag bearer race mass. No to JDM revolt. NDC adopts Boot for Boots as 2020 theme. Okay. You know where this is going, right? Okay, so that's it for the Statesman newspaper. And perhaps, Roland, we should just, because this is the last paper, let's talk about this luxury levy again. There's a group that's protesting already. They are the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Association of Ghana. They say they will hit the street, they will go on a demonstration because they say that 25% of the 150,000 vehicles imported into the country annually are luxurious vehicles. The average duty payable on these vehicles is between 80,000 Ghana cedis and 500,000 Ghana cedis or more. And under the Luxury Vehicle Act 2018 at 6969, vehicles with an engine capacity ranging from 2.9 to 3.0 are charged 1,000 Ghana cedis. Those with capacities ranging from 3.5 to 4.0 liters are charged 1,005, while vehicles with an engine capacity of 4.5 liters and above attract a tax of 2,000 Ghana cedis. However, the levy is not applicable to other categories of motor vehicles such as tractors, ambulances, commercial vehicles. Okay, so essentially that's what VADAC is saying, that they're going to hit the streets if nothing changes because it's affecting their business.
Yes.
Yeah. If I can pay 78 Ghana cedis, it's less than 100 Ghana cedis. Why won't I try to beat the 2.9? Stay right under 2.9 so I can continue to pay my 78 instead of going and pay 1,000 and 1,005. This is not insurance. Insurance has not even come here too.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when the minister announced, that's the Minister of Finance announced this in Parliament during the last budget in November, there's a lot of curiosity that was raised, more of a concern, especially among people who were using that sort of vehicle. And many of them were four-wheel drives, I believe, or mini four-wheel drives. It depends on how you want to take a look at them. And some of them may have bought these vehicles before the tax came into force. Yeah. Of course, there's the assumption that if you have such a vehicle, it means that you can afford, because they are not your normal type of vehicle.
But that's a wrong assumption.
Yes, that's a wrong assumption as well. Somebody could have given the vehicle to the driver or the owner. You never know. Somebody may have bought it for the owner. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the one who paid for the vehicle is the one going to use the vehicle. And so is the one going to service the vehicle. That's one analogy or assumption. Two, we also have to take cognizance of the fact that when it comes to using such vehicles, it depends on how the usage is. Somebody may just be driving that vehicle from the house to work, which could be closer, and so necessarily may not have the capacity to say that I want to fully utilize a vehicle in such a way, but also for just for status symbol purposes. And so I think that for those who are arguing that it is a bit steep, I think so. The ministry needs to take a relook at this. How many vehicles have been captured in this bracket for us to say that we are going to saddle them with this number of taxes? And have we looked at how affordable it is for some of those owners or the drivers of some of those vehicles who come for the renewals annually at the Driver Vehicle and Licensing Authority? It's a concern that has not been looked at. I think that in the future, when the ministry, especially those who tend to be charged of the exchequer and things like that, want to impose some of those taxes, perhaps maybe they should conduct some survey within the populace and try to see whether people are in favor of some of those taxes or not. I'm saying this because
will people ever be in favor of taxes?
No, nobody is ever in favor of any tax at all. But when you have the margins from 78 averagely for a saloon or a sedan, and then you get to the next phase of being 1,000. Then that's an incremental margin that everybody will raise an eyebrows on. And I think that sometimes the managers of the ministry also need to take some cognizance of that fact. If you take a look at the precedent we've had. We've introduced taxes like for condoms and things like that. We've come back to withdraw after a year because people have not been in favor. So we have to be very useful in trying to.
We won't withdraw this one though. You
have the hunch.
Because you have the hunch, especially because it's on the front page of the Statesman newspaper. I kind of have a feeling that this was to generate a certain conversation. This will be scrapped very soon. It will certainly be scrapped before 2020. But you know, now that we're talking taxes.
Yeah, because we're going to have a mid-year review around maybe June thereabout.
Now that we're talking taxes, let me just remind you that the Joy Business Knowledge Series is a platform that provides series practical insights for business managers and owners to understand the fundamental obligations for responsible and sustainable business practice in Ghana. So the core of the series will focus on demystifying taxation in Ghana, how SMEs can be better at tax compliance and how that impacts on good business. This program is a partnership with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and it will happen today at the Mervynpick Ambassador Hotel. It will be live on television, so the AM show will bring you live of that series here on our show. It's, you know, just for us to better understand, like we're talking about these taxes, how to stay safe, how not to risk paying taxes and risk your business as well. All the basic questions will be answered at this forum, so you have to make it a point to keep watching the AM show. All right, so that's it with the taxes. And I was just going to say that I want a higher vehicle, not because I am rich and I want to buy a 4x4 vehicle, but because of the roads that I use. So I want a vehicle that's a bit up.
So that you don't have your bumpers and all that.
I won't get into 2.9. I'm not going to do 2.9 or 3.0 or 3.5 because I have plenty, like I have a lot of money to spend. It's only because of the circumstance. So if you're asking me to pay 1,000 or 1,005, then you should know. I mean, it's not.
And you're going to pay if you're going to buy that.
It's
vehicle.
not a luxury.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a luxury.
But you're going to pay it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
once
at
you
the
get
end of
there,
the day,
yeah,
that's it's
but it will
really
be scrapped.
a concern.
You see.
Yeah, and we're told that well, we've been hearing this from government over the years in the Fourth Republic that they're going to expand the tax net and all that. Well, I was told that the Mason will be made to pay some good taxes on the money that he collects from me or you when he gets paid cash. Especially
with the TIN and the Ghana Post GPS.
Yeah. It's been slow in coming. It's been slow in coming. So I don't know. I think we just need to have a more innovative ways of because it's like we're just taxing the same people.
Come on with
No. But that's the one who owns a 4-wheel drive pays a lot of taxes. Unless maybe he is the one who owns business, pays a lot of taxes. You know. Okay, I wanted to
Duropal?
No, not Duropal.
Okay.
I wanted to look at Obiamo's call to the NDC and all the other parties to support the Commission of Inquiry. And we all know what transpired 2 weeks ago. We also know where we are currently and the concerns that have been raised, particularly with the NDC and all the issues that have been raised. First, there was a concern that the police would not have the guts because of the way they operate and they've been set up. And we all do know that because it was a conversation before the incident happened that they will not be in a position to take a very neutral and confident action on what should be done with those who perpetrated or what action may have been committed or inaction that may have been committed on the day. Now we have the president put it together a commission of inquiry. Yes, there may be concerns about what the outcomes, etc. may be. But I think that we should also give the benefit of the doubt to the individuals who are members of that commission. We have Justice Emil Short, who, despite all the things that the opposition may say, has done well in public life, in serving the country, in all the capacities that he's found himself. And I believe that the others, Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu, and then PK Champon has been a former IGP, etc., have been in a position to do creditably when they have been in office or wherever they found themselves, and also have a certain sense of responsibility for their individual names and reputations that they have to do right by themselves. And I feel that we all need to be confident in the work that they'll do. Professor Jima Boedi seems to disagree that it's a composition of all lawyers. I differ with him a bit because we have PK Champon, who has gone through the right training, either with the FBI, and I used to interact with him a lot when he was IGP, and he seemed also to be very much grounded when it comes to the issue of security. I feel him having been a retired or having gone through the service and is now retired is more independent minded to take a decision and also take actions as a committee, as a commission sits, to come to a certain conclusion that will be agreeable to all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you. The fact that he's a lawyer, I mean,
no, he's a lawyer, but he's also a security. He was a security person before he became a lawyer.
Yeah.
I mean, doing the law was just a complement to his work, because, you know, before you get to the position of IGP, they always had the CVs of people repleted with law degrees and law professional certificates and all.
Yeah, I think the setup is perfect.
Yeah.
But we would get to appreciate Professor Jimabodi's presentation or assertion when in that interaction with Kojo Singh. Just real quick with the Rupal, and then we'll see if we can have a wrap on the Nigerian elections coming up just this weekend. And 2 centers, not huge centers though, but 2 centers have had some voting materials burnt down completely. This is happening in Nigeria. Some 70 persons want to lead the country.
And we know that the Nigerian election is just in 4 days.
Yeah, yes. It's happening on Saturday. So okay, so maybe we should would spend a bit more time on Rupal. So let me not mess the story up. Let's just go to Nigeria and check out what's happening, what the latest is on this. Okay, so do we have a wrap to share? But otherwise, a fire outbreak has completely burned down the Independent National Electoral Commission office. Roland, you would know this area.
In Kwampan local
government area of Plateau States. Okay. So, head of Department Voter Education and Publicity in Plateau State confirmed the fire in a statement on Sunday. There's another place that's been gutted as well. I'm not sure that's included in this, but maybe we can just go to the main BBC page. So showing on your screen now pictures of the center that was burnt down.
That's the EC center.
I think this was the first one that this was the first one.
Looks like a ramshackle place.
This was the first one that came up. But there's something unique about Nigeria that a leading member of the NPP, Peter Makumenu, in that interaction that I had with him, because he's leading an observer team to one of the areas in Nigeria. I think they either set off yesterday or they're leaving today for Saturday's election. And he was explaining to me, and we'll bring you back that conversation sometime before the election, that you have to go and get a certain card, which you would later return to vote with in Nigeria. It's not like ours where you go one time and then you get your details checked and then you vote. But this one, you go, you are verified, you get a certain card that will allow you to return to vote. So without the card, you cannot vote. And we're told that in either this or the other fire, a lot of the cards, in fact, almost all the cards for the areas have been completely burned.
So they could be disenfranchised?
Yes, but the Electoral Commission has assured that they've replaced the cards. So we're yet to see the impacts of this. I guess it's on Saturday that we will feel. In the first fire, the question of could this be sabotage? Could this have been planned, intentional? And one analyst was saying that if you check the centers, they are not huge places. If somebody wanted to sabotage the process,
they could easily.
It could have been a bigger center other than these small places. So it just may be a coincidence. It's just
I think also following through on the report and the analysis, especially on the BBC and the international media, it was that even if there was any sabotage at all, it could only be localized, because Nigeria, and also by their temperament and actions, they're very, boisterous, and so it could be just a local politician who could perpetrates whatever action or inaction that could be reported or is being reported currently.
Yeah.
And we should also put all this into perspective, that Nigeria is a huge country. It's several times our country.
Yeah.
Yeah, several times.
Yeah.
And so we have to put all this into context, that the election could also, the result could even be announced when some others still don't have their results coming in already. And,
you know, that's
and then there are notable areas where, due to Boko Haram operations and some militant operations, there are fears that people would not be in a position to reach quickly enough to vote or give the right sort of atmosphere for voters to cast their ballots. But we'll bring you the latest update. We have partner stations and correspondents all over across the Federal Republic of Nigeria to bring us all the updates on election day.
Let's come back home to myjoyonline.com. Let's check out the stories on our page. Nagrat's Nats raise red flags about ongoing PPPs in education. And that's private partnerships.
Schools.
Okay. The way to create a happy society is to unearth talents of the young. Agreed? Details of that on myjoyonline.com. Hypertension identified as leading cause of death in Eastern region. Naming capital for new regions not Akufo-Addo's immediate concern. Footballer jailed 7 years for impregnating a minor. He's a 20-year-old footballer. He's been sentenced to 7 years imprisonment by an Accra Circuit Court for impregnating a 12-year-old girl at Teshi. Composition of Emil Short Commission too narrow, according to Jima Bwedi, former executive director of Center for Democratic Governance. Details of that conversation with Kojo Singh right here on the AM show today. EC wants 12 more months to implement ROPAL. I only wear my ring in special places. That's according to Beverly Afagalo. She's an actress married to one of the Prior guys. So this is Prior Titia's wife, choir master. Okay. Any other stories on the page? Abandoned Maslow vehicle still in good shape, selling slowly, according to the CEO. Oh, okay. Selling at what costs? At what price and at what cost to the country? Yeah. All right, you can check out all the details of these stories on myjoyonline.com. Do we have just about 2 minutes to do the BBC? Because there's a wrap of some of the African stories on the BBC. Okay, here we go. UN official blasts Buhari over top judges' suspension. The rapporteur on the independence of judges and lawyers says ousting of the Chief Justice was improper. So you know that in Nigeria, for like some 2 days or so, lawyers in the country were on a strike because of the actions that President Buhari was taking over the judge. I think this was, well, and remind me.
It's like the Chief Justice.
Yeah, for, you know, disclosure, you know, like the
it's about his lack of disclosure of monies that were supposedly lodged in his account.
Yeah,
and so it was around $2.1 million.
There's a certain name that we use. It's coming. It will come. But let's go through the rest of the stories. Yes, declaration of assets. Thank you, Mr. Fred Potufer. Nigeria in 9 maps and charts. You were talking about how huge Nigeria is compared to Ghana. I guess you can appreciate it with this story. The BBC maps the challenges facing Nigeria as it approaches the presidential election 20 years after the end of military rule. I am the rumor police. Okay, Ramaphosa angered by SA power cuts. Some power cuts being experienced in South Africa. Let's see. So South African's President Cyril Ramaphosa says he's quite angry with the state-owned electricity firm Eskom over the rationing of power in the country for the first time since December. The company said homes and businesses would experience power cuts known as load shedding because of continued pressure on the national grid. Power cuts without warning could last for about 4 hours a night. Okay. All right. Zimbabwe VP in India for treatment. Also another story on my on the BBC Africa page. So there you go. You can check out all the stories that we've reviewed either in the newspapers. You can go to myjoyonline.com for more. Ronald, I'm going to leave you because I am going to have a tax conversation. You know what I mean? Usually as young people, we're only concerned about filing taxes when we want to run for office. But, you know, you have to start that early, especially you, because you want to run as MP. So I'm going to have breakfast at the Mervyn Pick Ambassador Hotel. Whilst I talk some taxes, it will be a friendly conversation. So all the basic things that you want to know about taxes, how not to be on the wrong side of the law when it comes to taxes, will be discussed. So I leave you.
Yeah. All right.
Are you sad?
I am a bit sad. Just
Liar.
that I didn't see that coming. And so please make sure you get interactive throughout the rest of the morning. We'll have to bring you the latest sports conversations with Benedict also. Stay with us.